Welcome to Keeping It Real, the largest podcast made by real estate agents and for real estate agents. My name is DJ Paris. I'm your guide and host through the show. Today is our monthly coaching moments with Ryan DiApril. Let me tell you a little bit more about Ryan if you're new to our show. If you're not familiar with Ryan, he comes on every single month and gives our listeners and our viewers a coaching moment and a coaching lesson. And the reason why is Ryan DiApril is a coach. He's also a progressive thought leader focused on providing for his agents and staff at DiApril Properties. His strengths are his motivational skills, his coaching style, and his dedication to training. Now, he has 14 offices throughout Chicagoland. Also, he has offices in Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, and Florida. DiApril Properties focuses on high customer service, managing and executing their agents' marketing and transaction management for them, so that agents can stay focused on their business. I'm going to say that again because that was a mouthful. Managing and executing their agents' marketing and transaction management. The marketing piece in particular, I love because so few firms actually do marketing for their agents. But if you'd like to take your career to the next level, or if you're just not getting the attention you need from your firm, please check out DiApril Properties. Visit DiAprilProperties.com. That's DAPRILE properties.com. Also the link in our show notes. Welcome once again, Ryan.
Hey, thank you. Thanks for having me, DJ. How are you?
I'm good. Could we just really, before we get into today, can you just talk about, spend a minute or two on the, really, I think your firm's competitive advantage, which of course you guys are an amazing company, but I think the thing you do that I don't know any other firm that actually does is this idea of automating some of the marketing and the sort of stay in touch stuff with somebody's sphere of influence. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I just think that's so cool.
Sure. Yeah. So there's a place for everybody, right? And there's a bunch of different types of companies, a bunch of different types of models, and as we've gone and we've grown our organization over the past 11 years, one of the things that I had a lesson I had to reteach myself over and over again is focus on what you have and stop looking over your shoulder and looking at everybody else. And, this industry is so interesting because there's so much comparison going on all the time. And there's so many people, actually businesses, companies that are fighting so hard to be number one in market share and to be the biggest and whatnot. And our, philosophy is, we just want to be the best for the agents that are at our company. And, people who feel comfortable in their own skin, with the organization that they're at. And we focus holistically on each agent, one agent at a time. We do know that 80% or more of everybody's business comes from their network, either directly or indirectly. So
and you guys have the data, by the way, you have data to back that up. That's actually true for you is 80%. And I think that's worth repeating to our listeners who, again, I know this isn't a new number that you've never heard before, but it's an important number to remember is that 80% of your business will come from your existing network. Sorry.
Yeah. And so, there are a lot of tools out there. We have the tools and every other company has the tools out there. A lot of companies position themselves as they got the technology for you to do the marketing. Ours is we have the technology, but we also have the salaried employees that we train to actually do it for you. So you don't have to dabble around it. Now there's some people that are that really want to micromanage the process and do it themselves, and if they can do it with us or anywhere. We're just the kind of organization like, let's just take that off your plate. Let's handle the transaction management for you. Let's do the basic monthly marketing for you. You stay focused on your network and being in flow with your network. That's one of our main value propositions, in addition to continually having events. And when I say events, educational events at the offices, on marketing, on how to network properly, on trans management, on team building, if that's what you want to do, right? That would be more of an individual one-on-one type of process, on accountability. And so it's we are not the largest real estate company out there, nor will we ever be, and it's not what we're striving to do. We're just kind of focused on to be the company for the agent that's at our office. that's with us. That's really, breaking it down. I think I mentioned this to you on another podcast, working with an agent on marketing a big double-digit $1 million listing, and dialoguing with her. I'm like, listen, you could be a one-man real estate company or at the largest real estate brokerage in the world. And the reality is, once that listing hits the MLS, it's on every single website across the country,
Right.
across the world. And, the real value is emotional intelligence and the management of the process. The real value to the agent is how do you get that business? And is it marketing, or is it consistent, repetitive marketing coupled with, making those individuals in your network feel like the center of the universe? You're the one making them feel like that, so that when that certain percentage, which is 16% every year, transacts, you're the one that they're coming to. That's what we focus on.
Yeah, I didn't mean to derail us, but I just think I'm somebody who recruits realtors, and I will tell you, recruiting agents from your firm has never been successful in all the years I've done this. Not that we specifically go after your agents, but we really never even. And well, and your recruiters, I'm sure, come after. Yeah, I know.
It's
everyone's recruiting everybody.
That has to happen. Yeah, exactly. It is.
But I will say that your office is really interesting because the idea that you do actually do mailers, email campaigns, basically the repetitive, consistent things that agents oftentimes just maybe don't have time for or aren't particularly skilled at, I just think is such. Again, when I started, we had 0 agents. We have, I don't know, almost 800 now. And I'm not saying that to brag, because who cares? But the only reason I'm saying it is I've seen agents come over from just about every other firm, at least here in the Chicago area. And I've not ever talked to somebody who said, oh yeah, my old firm did all of that for me. And I think that's a really, really impressive value add. And the coaching, of course, I know that that's probably the most valuable thing you do, but I also know that every firm says they do coaching. So I know that doesn't always sound like a big deal. Yeah.
Look, I've got, 11 years in business, and now we're starting to really see the boomerangs come back. The ones that did get pulled away, and they're starting to come back. And
yeah,
it is nice to hear them say, I didn't realize how much easier it was here. Mm-hmm. And, you leave people who are like, well, I think it'll be easier because they got this technology, they got this, they got that. And you realize, well, shit, they got it, but I'm the one who's got to do it. I'm like, yes, we all have it. It's all at our fingertips. I just want to have one of our salaried employees do it for you consistently. And more than that, it goes beyond that. And it's just, and to each their own, and whatever works best for anybody. I have always had the philosophy is focus on the people you have. I am shocked. I don't know. I am surprised on how we have these standards, right? And of course we have to protect the consumer and the non-solicitations and everything else, but how brutal the recruiting always is going on. And it's so much noise in it. I really feel like it affects the production of the agent more than anything else, and takes their eyes off the ball. You just gotta, wherever you are, you just gotta figure out, is this my tribe, and is this my home? And I always try to tell our agents is, this company might be doing that and we're not going to, and don't worry about it. Otherwise we're living to be that other company. And that's not who we are. We're living to be us. And so, I got into the business because I wanted to be home for breakfast with my daughters. I wanted to be home after work. I wanted to travel. I didn't want to travel for work. I wanted to coach their teams and be around. And I wanted to sell real estate so I could be with my family. And that is true to today. I don't want to be the next social media star. I don't want, and that's fine if you do. I'm not knocking it. Just, that's not who I am, right? I don't want, I'm not the real estate brokerage, that's going to have a party all the time after work. After 4:00, it's like my day's done and I'm going to go back. Like I was telling you earlier, I'm a big personality, but I'm an introvert. I like my space after a while. And, I got into our business because I like the freedom. I like the flexibility. I think sometimes we get into the business, we lose our way, and all of a sudden we become somebody that we weren't, and we weren't planning on being. But there's so much outside influence that can mold us. 3 years goes by, and all of a sudden you're somebody that you didn't plan on being when you got into the business.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have maybe not as much time as you'd like, because you haven't learned how to set appropriate boundaries yet. And
It is.
yeah.
And
Well,
I tell people, that's what I tell people too, is like, really think hard when you talk about teams. Why do you want to have a team? And I see individuals, I know who they are, or different organizations. I know I know at the core, what their values are and what they want. And they think that a team is great if you do it right, but they think a team is going to get them there. It's like, you're looking at 3 times the amount of work that you're doing right now as an individual agent.
Yeah.
And there's a way that you can partner up, but not the team. And we could talk for hours about that.
Well, I will say one thing about teams, because I know teams are one of the biggest sort of buzzwords of agents, right now in the last several years in particular, is like teams are better than individuals. We're constantly hearing that message. And there's obviously an argument to be made that teams are stronger in theory to individuals. But what I've noticed, and it's not about, I'm only referencing people who want to join a team versus who want to start a team, but people who want to join a team, because I talk to a lot of agents who are newly licensed, and that is almost exclusively one of their requirements or something they're looking for is, I want to join a team. And I say, if you want to join a team to learn from a top producer and really just become almost like an apprentice, like, I think, boy, what a great thing to do. If you're going to a team because you're afraid you won't generate enough leads and the team is going to help you build your business, I always say that might not be always the best reason to join a team. If you're going to learn, great. If you're going because it's going to solve a problem of, I don't have enough business, well, that's where Ryan would love to say, actually, you probably have a bunch of business you don't know about in your existing network.
Yeah, we have a structured mentor program to help with that. I think teams are pushed, and they're pushed by our industry. And I truly feel that they're pushed by our industry, especially leadership in our industry, because these companies have just eroded who they are. And there's next to no profit in real estate brokerages these days, next to none. And the leaders of all these individual corporations are causing this. And teams are their outlet to give them the resources to manage people because they financially can't afford it. Yeah. You see it a lot in the multi-level marketing. It started in the multi-level marketing type real estate brokerages, because that team leader is essentially all of a sudden is a quasi managing broker acting as a managing broker, doing what a typical managing broker does, a typical trainer does. And the burden gets shifted off the brokerage to that lucky, quote unquote, lucky team leader. And so I think that's why you see it across the industry, because the leadership in the past 20 years of our industries, I feel, have done a great job of just running the ship, the nose of the ship of our industry into the ground. And it's been a race to zero. And it's all over now. There's publicly traded companies. You see what the numbers look like, and it's all over the place. And that's why, in my philosophy, that's why I think teams are so relevant nowadays. And I think it's because the brokerages just don't have the resources to provide what they typically did, because the business has been eroded.
Yeah, managing brokers now have to do so much that anything that can help take some of the, their workload off, like training and support via teams. Yeah.
Team. Yep. Team. Yep. Team. That's how they scale leverage. And so, just as a real estate agent, understand what you're going into, and I open, especially if you're going to be a team leader.
Well, let's talk about what's going on currently in the news, because I always think it's important for realtors to know what their clients are seeing, what they're reading, and then having some sort of response so that it gives them a talking point, gives them a reason to pick up the phone. And right now, we know the Fed raised rates, biggest rate increase in quite some time. I forget how many years, over 9 or 12, 11 years or something, but whatever it was, they raised it, I think 50 basis points. And 0.5%. And so we're seeing, mortgage rates now in the 5s. And the news organizations are capitalizing on this news, because if it bleeds, it leads. So there's fun, negative sort of articles to write about this and how everyone's freaking out. The market tumbled today, and I don't know if it's still down, but it was down 1,000 points, mostly. And funny enough, we had a jobs report come out today where our unemployment's almost at a record low in our country history, and we just added 428,000 new jobs, I think. And yet the market still reacted mostly, I think, to some of these interest rate sort of news. People are freaking out, which of course buyers now, that means buyers are reading this and freaking out. And we're also in a low inventory environment in most markets in the country. So there's not a whole lot of inventory. Rates are rising. So people's purchasing power has come down. So I'm just curious what you're talking to your agents about, or, let's talk about it.
Well, actually, I was just on the news on NBC5 the other day about talking about this exact topic. So, and here's what I told Mike Krzyzewski. I hope I'm saying his name correctly. Interest rates are rising clearly, and I think they're going to reach probably 8.5% by the end of the year, in my opinion.
Wow.
That's just an opinion. They say about opinions, but I really do. I think they're going to be there, and I think they have to go there. I think the government, the Fed, is doing what they can to slow down this economy, and I think there's not going to be any soft landing. I think they're going to slam on the brakes, and I think we're going to go into a recession, and I don't think that's a bad thing, quite honestly. Inflation's completely out of control, and the market is reacting to a number of things, and I don't think it's just the rise in interest rates. I think there's a lot of flight to value right now. I mean, I don't know if you saw on Apple TV, we crashed. They lost $4.4 billion last year. There are so many quote unquote tech companies, because WeWorks said they were a tech company. They're not a tech company. They're, shared office space environment.
Yeah.
And, everybody, all these investment bankers backing these quote unquote companies become unicorns, and what's happening is there's a flight to quality in commodities, and these companies that have lost hundreds of millions and billions of dollars for the past decade and have never made money, they're the ones that are going to have a real hurting that's coming their way, I feel. And I think it's going to be very similar to the 2020 crash. And Warren Buffett was calling it back then. I think he's been calling it back now. It's like, how can these companies work for this long and lose billions of dollars in cash? It's mind-boggling. And then people say, well, it's Amazon. Well, it's not Amazon. These organizations, and it's even in our own industry, and it makes you scratch your head. And I think there's a lot of just poor fundamentals out there that the pendulum's going to come back to the center. It has to. But I think for us as real estate agents, all that set aside, is people are going to buy and sell regardless of rates, and put that to the side, and you have to speak with your buyers, and you have to speak with your sellers, and you have to ask them the most important question: why are you buying and selling? If you understand that, that's going to be more important than logic. It's going to be more important than logic. We all make our decisions based on emotion, and people get married, people get divorced, people have children, people upsize, people die, and there's reasons for people to move on to the next chapters of their lives, and we just have to accept it. And regardless of rate, they're going to make that move. I mean, the price point might be different, but the move is going to happen. And if you understand at the core what and why your client, why your client is moving, then you're going to be able to best help them navigate the market and give them life advice as a friend, and help them walk through the process of this transition and that's what we do. I think rates are going to continually increase. Inventory is starting to come on. I think we are leaving our quote unquote real estate recession, which we've been in for 4 or 5 months. I think we'll be coming into a real recession for the economy. But when that happens, I think the inventory is going to open up even more, and the transactions are going to occur more, which is good for us as real estate agents. Mortgage lenders, it's a different story. There was a lot of lenders in the past 2 years that were doing $50-60 million in volume, and learned to live at that lifestyle, when in reality they might have been more of a $15 million producer because of those zero rates environment that we were in for 2 years. Never in my life, and the president of my company is 63 years old, and he said never in his career has he ever seen a refinance market like we saw in 2021. if you're a lender and you don't have purchase business, you're not in the business anymore. And that's just what it is. And it's really kind of sad to see. There's, in our industry, there's layoffs going everywhere in the mortgage lending business. And only the best and when I say the best, those that have real estate agent relationships are going to survive, quite honestly. And it's not going to change for a few years. Then there will be another refinance, boom, because you're going to go from 8% down to 7 and maybe 5 and whatever happens, right? I'm just giving us, fake numbers here just to make a point here. I'm not saying those specific rates, but you will have those, that refinance market will come back again. But buckle up, and buckle up not in a bad way. Just it's an expression. It's like the rates are rising. Educate your consumer, right? Educate your buyer. Understand that 3 months from now the rate's going to be higher than it is today. Your purchasing power is going to be less. So you may want to consider settling and getting in what you can now. And because if you want to move now for a particular life reason, make the move. And sorry, my other line's ringing. I'm calling him from the phone here. Because rates will just continue to go up because they have to slow down this inflation that we're having. And this is some serious inflation we're having right now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's brutal. It's brutal.
But let's think about like a specific case example. So let's say I have a client and we rate locked them 3 or 4 months ago at a lower rate than what exists today for their lending percentage, and then now that has expired because we couldn't find inventory or we couldn't find the right property. So I know this is happening to a lot of agents. So all of a sudden now that rate needs to be reran. The purchasing power might have come down. Almost certainly it has. So there is a little bit of a loss there to the consumer, or at least in their mind, there's a perceived loss of like, oh, I really wanted the $700,000 home. Now I'm limited more towards $500,000 or $600,000 properties, which again, doesn't feel good as a first response to a consumer. So what would you say to an agent to help sort of coach that buyer through that, and so they don't give up or get too upset about it?
The best way is to really and I really think this is the Achilles heels for most real estate agents. They don't truly understand why their buyer is buying, and they give me very simple surface answers. Well, they want a bigger home. What the fuck? What is that? Yeah. That's not, you got to really dig in deeper, because if you understand that, you're going to be able to help somebody navigate through that adjustment of, hey, you could afford a $700,000 home. Now it's a $500,000 home. Now, again, why are you buying? And maybe now you shouldn't buy. Maybe it was an upgrade for you, right? Maybe it was an upgrade for you. Maybe that's why you were buying. Or maybe it's a different school district and you have to, and there's reasons why you have to be in that school district. So guess what? Now you got to settle, and it's not a big deal, and it's not going to change. And again, the affordability is going to go down. And so you got to, what I love so much about this business is how unique it is, and very much how unscalable it can be as well, because each individual customer has a different scenario, and you got to give them your time and your effort, and you got to understand who they are, and then you can consult with them on the process. So it's and I don't want to apply logic to it either. It's more emotional,
right?
It truly is. And those logical, hey, it was going to cost you $1,500, now it costs you $1,900, but look, you could have a tax write-off, you could have this and that. It glazes over them. You know what I mean? It really does. This is what it is. It is what it is. And for any of us who are buying in the next 12 months, the rates are only going up, period. They're only going to go up. Now, the good thing is more inventory is going to come on. When the economy slows down, even more inventory is going to come on. And I think you just got to take it day by day, and don't let too much of this consume you.
And I think you can also mention too, if somebody is if a client, if a buyer is struggling with this, no, oh gosh, I have this perceived purchasing power decrease, and that feels bad. You can also talk to them about how inflated pricing has been, and maybe that $700,000 home that you could have afforded 3 months ago, if we could find one, was actually not worth. Maybe it was only worth 500. And as we start to see rates going up, and again more inventory, which means low, pricing comes down a bit. Maybe it all works out, for exactly the same sort of property that you thought you could afford, but you really were overpaying anyway.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I think so. I mean, there obviously it's a possibility. I don't see a huge correction in prices. I see maybe clearly I see eventually, the multiple offers come to a slow, and then, people paying 95% of asking price versus 110% of asking price. I mean, it's been a shit show out there, to say the least. Um, I don't see, I see the market correction, quite honestly, mostly in the markets, not the housing market. I think the housing market is pretty healthy with the lending, regulation that was put in place and how healthy people are. I think what we have is a grossly, I think very similar to what happened to the housing markets going on to the equities markets, and these companies that have lost billions of dollars that really have no right of even being in business. And my question is, whose money is that? And don't tell me it's JP Morgan's money or investment bankers money. That's got to be somebody's pension fund money. That's got to be some police fund, teacher fund. That's got to be some, pipe fitter pension money that's sitting in there that's getting invested in these companies that, you tally it up, one company lost maybe $10 billion over the course of 5 years. That's one company. That I wonder, is that going to take its toll on our economy? I think that, and I think it's going to be in the equities. But who am I?
Well, so we talked about maybe how to counsel the customer who maybe feels they see these news stories, they're freaking out, no inventory, raising rates. So we talked about, the emotional intelligence of the realtor to be able to counsel the client. I'm also interested in, I only deal with realtors. I don't deal with consumers. Like you're sort of same way you teach, you're coaching and teaching and talking to agents. But agents are also, I find, even ones that seemingly are usually pretty bulletproof to some of this news. I mean, even seeing that sort of little bit of mild depression kicking in with realtors who are like, oh, how do I keep going when there's no inventory and rates keep rising and my clients just can't find. So what are you talking to your agents about to keep them motivated, keep them sort of in a positive mind frame as they navigate these choppy waters?
Sure. It's real easy. One, okay, as a real estate agent and a loan officer, which are basically you eat what you kill. Okay. You need to go into the office every day. You got to go to work. If you want to succeed, you have to go to work. That's it. And so many people I have seen, I'm running an errand, I'm selling some furniture, I got a dentist appointment or something like that. I mean, there's so many excuses. I became a real estate agent at the age of 28 years old, 29. And from 22 to 29 or 21 to 29, I went to an office every day. I'm 46 years old. I still go to my office every single day unless I'm taking a day off.
Me too. I would love to be able to say that I work just as effectively from home, and I can work from home. I don't have to be here. I do not work well from home. I wish I did, because it'd give me another option. The reality of it is I'm just more effective in the office. And I suspect most people would, if they're honest, would say the same thing.
It is. And everybody listening to this podcast, please understand the failure rate is 90% or higher in real estate, 90% or higher. And because it's a solopreneurship type business and it's very difficult, you got to find a tribe. You got to find a community. You need to find an accountability group. The office is the best way. Get out of the house. 1, 2, focus on what brings you business. What brings you business is your network. And so if we all look at it, 80%, it's just across the board. If 80% of your business comes from your network, then why aren't you spending 80% of your time on your network? Get off social media, get off the MLS, get off the errands and all the other stuff. I understand there's a transaction management part of the business that we have to do, but I'd be surprised if it was more than 10% of our
industry spent more than an hour and a half on their network once a week. I really think it's that small. And those are the ones selling all the real estate.
I was at a top producer breakfast recently, and they asked a similar question to what I just asked you: is how do you stay motivated? And it's certainly not the easiest time to be a realtor, or I mean, if you're a listing agent, it's a wonderful time, and if you're working with buyers, it's more challenging. And so there was an agent, top producer, who does more buy side transactions, and they were asking her in this forum I was in, how are you staying motivated? And she's like, oh my gosh, it's so easy right now. And everyone went, what? How? And she goes, well, right now I'm contacting every single person I know, and she's been doing this since December, and saying, hey, you've probably heard that for everyone in her database that's a homeowner, you've probably heard prices have gone up quite a bit. Now's probably a pretty good time to check out to see what we think your home's worth. And she goes, I just do this all day long. And her thought was, I always am asking, how can I provide value to the people who already know me? And she's like, I just run these reports all day, and then I contact each person individually and say, hey, I'm going to swing by and drop off this new report so you get an idea of what's going on. And I was like, boy, that's so simple, and it's brilliant, and it's valuable to people. So if you're wondering, well, how do I spend time on my network? I just gave you an idea from a top producer that pretty good idea, because look, people visit Zillow. 200 million Americans visit Zillow every single month. Some of those people are checking to see what their home's worth. And by the way, the Zestimate, just as a little aside, because I was just at a Zillow forum, believe it or not, I know people will disagree with this, but a data scientist was speaking to us, and he said our Zestimate is now within plus or minus 200 basis points. So within 2%, we think we're accurate. So people are checking this, and not that you have to agree with this estimate or not, but we know people are checking this, right? It's kind of Zillow's main thing, and so we know they're checking it. So why not be the maybe give them a more accurate version of this estimate, hand deliver it? And boy, I would love if somebody would do that for me. I've never even run my own report on my own property.
Yeah, we could go on and talk for hours about that. But I do agree. I agree with you about the network and diving into that network. And that's the most important thing. And I think a lot of us, I'm just good. My estimate's off by $400,000.
So yours is not one of the accurate ones.
Yeah, I just went and looked at it right now. So, but anyways, but it's a great tool. It's a great company. I'm sorry, you got my curiosity. So I Googled it, and I went to the estimates. I just and I threw my address in there. But I guess.
But my point by saying that, though, is that's an easy thing that you can do at any time to give value to your network. That is something that no one else is probably really doing that, unless they've worked with other realtors before.
Right. No, I agree with you. And I guess I think here's where we can kind of end it. Marketing is incredibly important. All right. And advertising incredibly important. And then ask yourself, am I spending more time marketing and advertising myself than I am connecting with the people in my network? That should not be unbalanced. You should be connecting with people in your network more than you're in marketing yourself, in my opinion. In our business, in our very unscalable business, and you could have 300-400 people in your network, you can make $500,000 to $1 million a year if you do what I tell you, and spend more time connecting with those individuals than anything else. Market and advertisers, of course, but I'll bet you most people spend more money on advertising and social media marketing and all this other stuff than actually rolling up their sleeves, digging in and saying, hey, how are you? I was just thinking about you. What's going on? And then moving to the next person.
I've had my same accountant for, I don't know, however many, to 13 years, maybe. I've never met her in person. Why am I with her? Because I'm too lazy to find someone else. Is she, maybe, is she the very best accountant in Chicago? I don't know. But you know why I'm with her? Because I like her.
That's
I
right.
like her. I've never even met her. But I like her. When she sends me emails, she's, and I think she's competent. I haven't been audited yet. So let's hope that she's doing a good job. But the truth is,
that's how all decisions are made. Professionals are hired by other professionals based on likability. That's it. And they did a study, and they realized that consumers hire real estate agents arbitrarily. It's in 1 to 3 days. It's very quick. It's a very quick decision. It's usually the first person that comes to mind. So your job is to be friends with the people in your network. Get it. Sorry about that. My phone's blowing up, DJ, because I got a 3 o'clock that it's coming up on me hard here. So I'm sorry, it's throwing me off. But
No
that's the
problem.
most important thing for you guys to be doing.
Yeah, connect again, check in with people, see how they're doing. What's going on in your life? Oh, by the way, Mother's Day is this weekend. What a great opportunity to pick up the phone and call everybody you know who either is a mother or has a mother, and just say, hey, I was just thinking about you this weekend. Hope you're having a great Mother's Day. Or pet parents are also mothers, right? I know my girlfriend likes to think of herself. I had to get my girlfriend a Mother's Day card because she has a cat. That's another great thing you should know which one of your clients who have pets. That's another thing you could do is call up, say, hey, happy Mother's Day, pet parent. Or if they have children, you can do that too. There's lots of ways to connect with people. And again, that it doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in the news, right? We just know it's that time of year where mothers are celebrated. So there's lots of ways you can deepen those relationships. And I think, like you were saying, if you focus on that, I mean, how many realtors are reaching out to everybody they know to wish their sphere of influence a happy Mother's Day? Maybe they'll send an email, a blanket email to everyone with a little cute, picture on it that says Happy Mother's Day. We love mothers. But how many?
But understand that's marketing and advertising. That's not
Totally.
exactly good for you. Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And so what can you do this weekend if you're not busy because there aren't much inventory? Call everybody you know and say, I just wanted to wish you a happy Mother's Day, and see what that does for you as a business owner, as an individual agent. I'll bet you there's no negative. You will not get one negative response to that, and you might even get a few customers out of it. And you can always say at the end, hey, by the way, if anything changes for you, if you ever want to talk real estate stuff, just let me know. But I just wanted to call and wish you happy Mother's Day. You do that, you're gonna have great success. So I'll let Ryan, I know he has to get to his next meeting, but I think we gave a ton of value here in this episode. So I want to thank Ryan. Again, Ryan is the guy who runs between office to office to do in-person trainings, coaching, and meeting with his staff. So he absolutely walks the talk. So if anyone out there is looking for a different firm, especially in the Chicagoland area, Indiana, Wisconsin, Michigan, Florida, if you're looking for a firm where it's really coaching and training led and helping you with your marketing, D'April Properties is a great option. So check them out, DAprilProperties.com. Ryan has tons of people that would love to talk to you about what they offer. As well, Ryan has a lending institution, Midwest Lending. If you're looking for a new loan officer, you can check with him as well. And then also, they have title and a bunch of other services they offer too. So definitely check out D'April. They have lots of things. They really have a tremendous amount of products and services for their agents. And also, we just want to thank Ryan for being on the show. He's been with us almost since the very beginning. He comes on every month and provides tremendous value. So thank you, Ryan. And on behalf of Ryan, we want to thank everyone who's listening, who's made it to the end of this episode. And we ask that you do just one thing to help us continue our show, which is tell a friend. Think about one other real estate professional, or if loan officers are listening, or anyone that finds value in this content, please tell someone else about it. Let them know about our show and send them over to our website, keepingitrealpod.com. They can sign up to get emailed every time we have a new episode, which I know I do for podcasts I listen to, or you can just have them pull up a podcast app, search for Keeping It Real, and hit that subscribe button. So Ryan, I will let you jump to your 3 o'clock. Thank you so much for being on the show yet again. And we wish everyone a happy Mother's Day too. Although by the time this goes out, it'll be after Mother's Day. But if you're watching us live right now, happy Mother's Day to all the moms.
Thank you, DJ. Appreciate it very much.
All right. Thanks so much. And we'll see everyone on the next episode. Thanks, Ryan.
All right. Bye-bye.